This is definitely one of the most advanced outdoor survival structures. The man used only simple tools to create an automatic water wheel system that did not need a single nail. At the same time, it can also grind flour, transport wood and cut planks completely automatically, truly freeing his hands to easily build an exquisite house, living an ideal rural life alone in nature. The man before him was named David. Having been home for a long time, he could not contain his jealousy of construction, so he returned to the mountains and forests. This trip was a return to the old place. Last year he had built a simple shelter here. Looking at the surrounding scenery, old memories flooded back, this time returning to the still-flowing river. Everything had changed. Looking at the giant tree being blown down by the wind before his eyes, David immediately planned to build today. But first he had to remove the old tent frame. The wooden bed, despite being in good condition from the wind and rain, decided to keep it and immediately deal with the big tree that was about to fall. To avoid danger, he tied a rope to the tree trunk next to him and cut it into pieces to get wood as raw material. He eliminated the danger and had more materials. It was a double job. But because the tree trunk was too big, he cut it into pieces, weighing about 25 pounds for easy. Moving next, he went to the stream to clear the grass, to prepare for installing the water wheel, and took out a steel saw to cut each plank. Although the work was tedious, thinking about the results made him excited. David never used iron nails in the forest, not because there weren't any, but because wooden pegs were economical and durable. He only needed to bring a few tools, a hand drill, and then punch holes in the wood to have uniform wooden pegs to replace nails. This process looked quite relaxing. In no time, he had made all kinds of pegs for construction, even no less than iron nails. After preparing the materials, David rested a bit and then went to steal some wild wheat, because anything that grew in the forest was called wild wheat. David didn't hesitate to pick handfuls and put them in a piece of cloth. Indeed, the food here was extremely abundant. Having gathered enough food for a few days, he leisurely continued walking away from that place. David was secretly happy, because from now on, he would no longer have to worry about food and drink. After resting for a while, he decided to speed up the process of building the water wheel, taking 2 prepared pieces of wood, making a hole in the middle, hollowing out both ends to make a sturdy base, then taking 2 more thick pieces of wood, sharpening the ends, and clamping another piece of wood to make it tighter. He continued to assemble the bases together. Everyone said that love between 3 people was not lasting, but the triangular structure was the most solid. Adding 2 more wooden bars created a sturdy, triangular frame. The lifespan of the water wheel base could be up to several decades. Under the frame, he added wooden planks to form 2 pillars into 1 block, then added drums on both sides. Triangles planted triangles were tightly connected. Without a foundation of mathematics, physics, and chemistry, it would be difficult to do. In the middle of the frame, leave a path for the water to flow through. Lay flat planks, then add 2 more sides to form a water channel. The water wheel began to take shape. Next came the most important part, the water wheel. David used planks to form a circle, drilled a hole in the middle and fixed it with a wooden peg. Carefully drilled 4 more small holes around the edges to make the wheel flexible. Then add wooden bars to increase the thrust. When the water flows through, don't underestimate these extra wooden bars, because they are the key to making the wheel spin smoothly. At this point, the shape of the wheel is clear, but to spin effectively is necessary to create a standard circle, and in the absence of tools, making a circle is quite difficult. However, no matter how difficult, there is a way. He stuffed the wood into an iron pipe, sealed both ends, and put it on fire to turn it into charcoal. While waiting, he made himself a cup of coffee to regain his energy. To be honest, where did he buy this thermos? I want one too. After a short rest, David remembered that he had shed corn next to the rice field this morning, so he sneaked out and quickly picked 2.5 kilos to bring back. At this time, the charcoal was also ready. He attached a wooden bar to the center of the wheel's axle to act as the center of the hub, attached 2 charcoal bars to the other end, and drew 2 standard circles on the wheel. Then just cut off the excess part along the drawing line, and it's done. It must be said that David's operation, this time, was as precise as hanging a teacup on an airplane. Very high level, but because it was dark, he didn't have time to complete the remaining part of the water wheel, so he had to temporarily install the 2 uncut wheels into the frame. The 2 ends of the water wheel were temporarily assembled with wooden supports and covered with waterproof tarpaulin to serve as a place to put the night watch. It was just that getting in and out was a bit inconvenient, and time quietly passed to the next day. After a busy day and still not seeing the house, David got out of the temporary place early in the morning, disassembled the hastily assembled water wheel from yesterday, put away the excess part of the wheel, and then punched a square hole in the center to put the 2 wheels together. Next, he joined the boards together to form a hollow bearing, and added a layer of short planks, covered with bark, on the outside to form a round bearing. I just don't understand why he didn't just use solid wood. If he didn't let the water flow through the middle, I didn't dare ask. In order for the wheel to rotate, shafts had to be attached to both sides. It looked crude, but it rotated very smoothly. To avoid being swept away by the water, he added a wooden bar to the groove to hold the wheel in place, and then installed a few more supporting blades, and the water wheel was basically complete. But the moving shaft was the key. Thanks to it, the water wheel could do many unexpected things, saving manpower and time. He worked like a horse all day long. Only after installing the last part did he breathe a sigh of relief. His carpentry skills were so great that even I was amazed. He went to pick some berries to supplement his nutrition. On the way back, he picked up an abandoned fish trap as an additional food source. He also conveniently took some planks to carve grooves and put them together to make a workbench to cut wood. Automatically, later returning to the base, David was eager to test the effectiveness of the water wheel. Theory must be proven in practice. He pulled the water wheel out to a strong current, and the rushing water hit the blades, making the wheel spin. The effect was so perfect. Can you believe that this was a project that did not use a single iron nail? This water wheel was created to maximize rotation efficiency. David also meticulously used stones to build a small dam in the stream to bring more water to the wheel. Thanks to that, the water wheel rotated much faster. After completing the most important work before dark, he quickly cleaned the fish trap he had picked up and placed it in the stream. He just needed to wait overnight for a surprising harvest. The next morning, when night fell, David worried about sleeping. Re-erecting the wooden bed frame like last year, covering it with a waterproof tarp. He had a place to put his feet. The rest he would think about tomorrow. Yesterday, the water wheel was completed and launched. This morning, after 2 days without a full meal, David's first task was to check the fish trap. The main character's halo did not fail him. He caught 2 fat carps, too many to eat, so he also released a female to preserve the source for a long time. After cleaning the fish, he did not bother to think about a light breakfast. He just ate his fill to recharge his energy for the new day. Today's goal was to complete the automatic woodcutting system. On the workbench, he carved a groove and added a small wooden bar to form a roller shaft. He immediately joined the 2 sliding bars to test whether they slid smoothly or not. Then he attached a steel saw and tightened the 2 ends. Then he continued to use wooden nails to assemble each part of the wheel together. Despite the hot sun, David was still absorbed in his passion, burning in his lungs. He did not care about worldly affairs. He just wanted to live peacefully in the remote mountains and forests. When he witnessed the miracle, the strong current made the wheel turn. The wheel pulled the drive shaft, and the shaft in turn drove the cutting mechanism to operate automatically. I wonder if you can learn it. The mind understands the theory, but in practice it is clear David took a piece of wood, put a wooden hook on the end, tied a rope to another piece of wood, and dropped it into the stream. The current pulled the wood forward, thereby creating an automatic wood-cutting effect. Spending so much effort just to cut wood is such a waste. David quickly made a wooden rice pounding mortar and placed it next to the workbench. Then attached a piece of wood with a stone head. He built a support and drilled a groove on top. Then connected the wooden bar with a moving shaft and hit the wooden bar so that the mortar could automatically pound rice. The practical test showed very impressive results. People still say that laziness is the driving force of progress. This was clearly shown in David, thanks to which he had more time to do other things. He manually peeled the wheat he picked the day before, then put it in the mortar and pounded it into flour. Survival in the wild does not allow laziness. To live long, one must have experience and skills. The dry tree trunks unexpectedly turned into a useful water wheel in the forest with flour in hand. Tonight's dinner would be something to eat. Just add a little water, a little wild salt, and fry it in a pan of oil. Although the shape was a bit strange, the dish was still okay. After completing the water wheel, David's quality of life in the wild was significantly improved. After completing, yesterday he tested the water wheel in the stream. From then on, David's outdoor life turned a new page. In addition to sawing wood and pounding rice, the water wheel also has another function of transporting wood. He tied one end of the rope to the wheel's rotating shaft, the other end to a log, and, with the power of the water turning the wheel, the wood was pulled upstream. After 2 busy days, David started to build a small hut. Instead of sleeping outdoors, the location was right on the stream bank next to the water wheel. First, he assembled the planks as a foundation, drilled holes to connect the points and fix the pillars, and inserted wooden pegs firmly to reinforce the foundation. The entire small house was built of wood because of the support of the water wheel. There were so many planks that the floor was laid flat, without any gaps or defects. The planks were cut automatically, so they were as straight as a machine working. David chose a 2-slope roof, which was both wind and rain resistant and snow resistant. It must be said that he must have graduated from Lebanon Academy to be able to build such a prefabricated house. Before completing the walls and roof, David immediately made a bed just by building 3 rows of legs against the wall and placing 3 planks. He had a sturdy wooden bed, just enough for one person to lie down. Turning around was a bit difficult. Then he started to roof. To achieve the best waterproofing effect, each plank had to be covered in layers. Although the wooden house was small, only enough for one person to live in, the shape and ritual were indispensable. Under his skillful hands, the wooden planks turned into a lovely little hut, adding a matching wooden door to complete it. Looking both delicate and artistic, it could be said that David had a taste for aesthetics and design, turning wildlife into poetry. He also built a shield outside the bed, filled it with the remaining sawdust, flattened it, and fixed the edges with wooden bars to avoid spillage. Thus he had a soft makeshift bed. The remaining sawdust was not wasted, but stuffed into pillows. Such a bed is certainly extremely comfortable. There's also a small wooden table attached to the wall at the head of the bed to serve as a dining area. Although raw materials from the forest are scarce, thanks to the water wheel, David can still change the menu every day. He put corn kernels in a wooden mortar to grind them into flour. While waiting, he also took the opportunity to build a wooden barrel to store the ground cornmeal and flour. To be able to cook indoors, David drilled a smoke vent on the roof and installed a hanging stove that poured into the chimney. From here, David's wild country life that everyone dreams of officially began. If you find it interesting, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel to watch more interesting videos. See you again.